Welcome to Object-Oriented Programming. In today's lecture, we will learn about the control statements in Java programming language. So there are selection statements, iteration statements, and gem statements. So we will learn about them. Control statements. Default execution order of statements in a program is sequential. That means one after the another. Means from the main method, execution will start. So each statements will be executed sequentially one after the other. That is the default execution sequence. Using control statements, this execution sequence of a program can be altered. A control statement in Java is a statement that determines whether the other statements will be executed or not. So here this is the sequential statement execution. That means from top to bottom it will in main method execution will start. From there one after the another each statements will be executed sequentially. That is the normal control flow. So when you use control flow, means when you use conditional execution, depending upon a condition, it will decide whether to execute this statement or this statement. In the case of iteration, depending upon a condition, a particular statement or block of statements will be repeatedly executed. So that is all about iteration. So uh, the control statements are broadly classified into three types: selection statements, iteration or loop statements, gem statements, means they are unconditionally branching gem statements. So let us study each of them in detail. First, we will learn selection statements in Java. In Java, the selection statements are also known as decision-making statements or branching statements or conditional control statements. Because based on certain condition, it will decide a particular block of statement has to be executed or not. The selection statements are used to select a part of the program to be executed based on a condition. Java provides the following selection statements. First one is simple if statement. Second one is if else statement. Third one is nested if statement. That means within the body of one if another if will come. That is nested if statement. Then if else if statement. That means if else if ladder. Fifth one is switch statement. So these are the five different selection statements supported in Java. Since all of you have studied C programming, it is already knowing to you. Means you have already learned all these five. We will just revise them quickly. The simplest one, if statement. So based on a condition, you will decide the block has to be executed or not. That's all. In Java, we use if statement to test a condition and decide the execution of a block of statement based on the condition result. So the syntax is something like if one condition expression will be given, this expression has to be evaluated to true or false. So if the condition is evaluated to true, then the block will be executed. Else the control will come to the statement which is after the if statement. Here you can see one example. If num is a variable modulus 5 equal to 0. So here this expression will evaluate to some integer value, means some value, some numeric value that will be equated with 0. If it is 0, it will produce true, else this particular condition will produce false. So whenever this condition produces true, these two statements will be executed. If it is producing false, then the control will not enter the if block. That is the logic of if statement. If else is a logical improvement of the if statement where you have one else block also. When the condition is true, this block is executed. When the condition is false, another block will be executed. So here one thing is guaranteed, either true block or false block, one will be executed. That's for sure. Okay, syntax is like if condition true block, then you can give, see the rule is something like that. If there is only one statement, you don't need to give braces, but I strongly recommend always use braces even if it is a single statement. That is the right coding practice. So as per syntax, if condition open braces, close it, then else open braces, then your else block will come, false block will come, then close the braces. So here either true block or false block, one will be executed depending upon the condition. So that is the logic of if else statement. Next one is nested if statement. Again, it's another logical improvement over the previous if else statement. Writing an if statement inside another if statement. That is called nested if statement. You can see this. If condition, your true block is starting. Then else false block. So within true block, you are starting another if. So if this condition is true, control will come here. Then again it will check for the condition 2. If condition is true, this statement will be executed. If it is false, this statement will be executed. So you are nesting one if loop within another if loop. That is nested if loop. So the flow means control flow will be something like this. Here first condition will be checked. If it is false, control will go out of the entire if else. Means here it will come here. If condition is false, the outside this statement will be executed, then control will go out. If condition is true, that means if it is coming here, another condition will be evaluated. If it is true, its true block will be executed. If it is false, its false false block means else case will be this inner else will be executed. Then control will come out of the entire if else, means out of the that if nested if else body. Next one is if else if. That means if else if ladder. So here first one condition will be checked. If the condition is true, then this body will be executed and the control will go out of the entire ladder. This will execute here, then control will go out of the entire if else if ladder. If the first condition is false, then it will check the second condition. If the second condition is false, it will execute the third condition. Means check for the third condition. Whenever one condition satisfies, it will execute that body, then control will go out of the loop. So this is the flowchart. So first condition will be checked. If it is true, that statement will be executed, then control will go out of the if else if ladder. If the first condition is false, next condition will be checked. If it is false, next condition will be checked. So at a time, only one from this means only one block will be executed based on which condition is true. If one condition is false, then next will be evaluated like that. So this is if else if ladder. Last one is switch statement. Again, this is also familiar to you, but there are some minor improvement over the switch statement what you have seen in C language. Switch statement is used for executing one statement from multiple conditions. So it is a different implementation of your if else if ladder. Okay, it is similar to an if else if ladder. In a switch statement, the expression can be of byte, short, character, and int data type. Okay, so here in switch, see that syntax is something like switch expression. So that expression type can be that expression can be evaluated to any of these data type: byte, short, character, int, and from JDK 7 onwards, it can you can give enumeration value or string also you can give, and you can give the wrapper classes. For the primitive data type, I mentioned about the wrapper classes. All the primitive data types have their associated wrapper class. So even the wrapper class object you can give in the switch statement. Means for each case you can give means a string value or numeric value or an enumeration value like that. So following are some of the rules while using the switch statement. There can be one or n number of cases. So at least one case has to be there in a switch statement. That is rule number 1. The values in the case must be unique. So you cannot have two cases for the same value. Means, see, just imagine I have cases like case 1, 2, 3 like that. So that is allowed. But case 1 and again another case 1 is not allowed. Those values must be unique. Each statement of the case can have a break statement. It is optional. So break is optional. So that a flow is something like this only. So this is your normal if-else-if ladder. This is the case of switch statement. So expression, then case 1. Case 1 is if case 1 is true, then its true block will be evaluated. If there is a break, then break will be evaluated, then control will go out of the entire switch statement. If there is no break, then from this statement block to control will directly go to the next statement block. So here we have a code fragment representing the syntax of the switch statement, switch expression. So this expression can be of type byte, int, short, character. Then you can give even string literal, enumeration, or wrapper class object. And here you can give the associated values. Case value, this can be a string or a wrapper class object, things like that. Okay, so this is the expression. Then there will be one or more cases. Each case can have an optional break. If the break is there, after executing this block, control will go out of the switch. If there is no break, then control flow is always sequentially downward. So it will go to the next statement, means next block. That means it is not going to check this condition. It will directly go to this body. So see the flowchart. Expression will be checked. Then expression will be evaluated. Then based on that value, it will check the match between each case. If it is matching, if the value is matching with case 1, then corresponding statement, this block will be executed. After that, if there is a break, see in this case there is a break, so control will come out of the entire switch statement. Control will come out. Imagine there is no break. In that case, control will directly progress downward to the next statement. Means it will go progressively down, means it will not check this case 2. It will, without checking, it will come to the statement block of this next case. So like that the progression. And when it is not matching with any of these cases, you can give one default. So if nothing is matched, then control will come to the default case. So it will execute. You can give a break or not. In both cases, same meaning, because that is the last statement in this particular case. So control will come out of the switch statement. Here we have an example. Switch n is an integer. So we have cases like case 1, 2, 3. So we initialized n equal to 1. So this check will be passing. So control will come here. So it will print like this. Then see, it will print like this. Now in the next statement, this is a break. So break is there. Control will come out of the switch. See, it will come out of the switch. So control will come here, and that is the control program. So that's all about the selection statement. Now we will learn the iteration or looping statements. A loop statement allows us to execute statements or group of statements multiple times. So it is, as the diagram indicates, it allows you to execute a portion of code repeatedly. In Java, there are 4 types of loops: for loops, while loop, do while loop, for each loop. This is the one that is new to you. Okay. So the loops can be broadly classified into 2 types: entry control loop and exit control loop. There are 3 entry control loops. Entry control means the condition at which point of time we are checking the condition. So at the time of entry, we will check the condition. That is for each, and while. All these 3 loops will check the condition. If the condition is true, then the body will be executed. That is entry control. Exit control means it will check at the time of, means it will execute the block, then it will check the condition. If condition is false, it will exit. If the condition is true, it will again repeat. So there is one such exit control loop, that is do while loop. Let us learn for loop. For loop syntax is same, logic is also same. There is no major difference. Every for loop have, see, for keyword is used, then one initialization part is there, semicolon, one condition part is there, semicolon, one updation part is there. It can be update, increment or decrement. Okay, so if you see the execution flow, first this part, this is the when you start the execution of this for loop, this initialization part will be executed exactly once. Then control will progress towards the condition check. So this part will be checked. Number 2 will be executed. If it is true, control will come to the statement block for body of the for. So within braces, you can give n number of statements, so that n number of statements will be executed when the condition is true. Now the body execution is completed. Next thing is updation. So it will, after completing the body, control will reach here, it will execute the updation, increment, decrement. Now again control will go to 2. It will check the condition. If condition is true, execute the body, again update that. See now, see, initially 1, 2, 3, 4, then 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, like that it will repeat. Initialization will happen only once, and the updation will happen. This updation will happen after executing the means for loop body. Okay, so these are the points what you need to remember about for loops. In Java, there is something called enhanced for loop or for each. The keyword what we are using is for only, but we tell that as for each. As of Java 5, the enhanced for loop was introduced. This is mainly used to traverse collection of elements, including arrays. So this is mainly to access the array elements or the collection elements one by one. Syntax of the enhanced loop: for keyword, then one declaration, colon, expression. In the case of normal for loop, for initialization, semicolon, condition, semicolon, updation. That was the syntax. But in the case of enhanced for loop, declaration, colon, expression. Then for body of the for will come. So here we have an example. Okay, now let us try to understand what is declaration and expression. Declaration, the newly declared block variable. Okay, this is a type compatible with the elements of the array you are accessing. So this particular loop is to access the array elements. Here this declaration is to store one single element of the array what we are accessing. This variable will be available only within the for block. Within this block only it will be available, and its value would be same as that of the current array element. So it will be repeatedly executing. Each time this declared variable will be pointing to the current array element. Now colon, expression. This expression will be evaluated to the array which you need to loop through. The expression can be an array variable or a method call that returns an array. So this can be an array variable or a method which can return an array. So let us see this example. Here we have an array and each array elements are double. So I have to first declare. So my array element is of type double. So I am declaring one variable to store my array element, double element. So this is the element to store my current element. Colon, array name is values. Now sum equal to sum plus element. So here this element is pointing to the current array element. So with this code I can sum all the elements of this array. Here we have an example for this. For int x, okay, we have one integer array. Array name is numbers. That is having how many? 5 elements. So I am trying to print the elements using the for each or enhanced for loop. So what is the type of the array element? It is integer. So integer, I am giving one variable name int x. So I declared the element variable colon expression or array name. So I am directly giving the array name colon numbers. Then I am opening the braces and here I am closing. Within that I have two print statement. This body will be repeated 5 times corresponding to each array element, and x will point to the current array element. So first time when the body executes, x will be printing 10. Second time it will be printing 20, 30, like that. So that is the output what you are getting here. Let us see another example. Here you have an array of strings. That array name is names. So in my for loop, first I need to declare my array element is a string. So I am declaring a variable to store my current array element. I am giving name as name, data type string, string name, colon array name, names. So each time in this variable, I am getting the current array element. So when I print this, I get each array elements. Means first time it will print a name, comma, then Larry, comma, Tom, like that it is printing the array elements. This is for each. There are some notes on for each. For each loops are not appropriate when you want to modify the array, because you are not getting the array element and you are getting only a copy of the current array element. Even if you modify that variable, your original array is not going to change. So this is only for the read-only operation. Okay, for each loop, do not keep track of the index. So we cannot obtain the array index using for each element, because you are getting the array element, not the index. So index you are not getting. For each only iterates forward over an array. That means it will access one by one. See, in your program, you want to print the alternate elements of an array. That means you need to have a step size of 2. Instead of incrementing by 1, you need to print, if you have to print the alternate element, you have to use plus 2. But for such logic, it is not appropriate, because in the case of for each, that increment is always by 1. For each cannot process two decision making statements. Here, just have a look at this code. For each, okay, here you have one regular array, and and you are checking okay, numbers of array. See, for this particular thing you cannot implement easily using for each. First thing, in for each you don't have access to the array element. So this information is not available to you. Current, you are only getting the current array member. Since I is not available, you cannot check with the corresponding array element of another array. So this kind of logic implementation is not possible with the for each thing. So this is the for each, for type variable colon array. This is equivalent to this particular regular for loop. For I equal to 0, okay, I less than array length I plus plus. Here, this is our variable equal to array of I. But this particular part is hidden to you. You don't have access to the array index. You are getting a copy of the current array element. You can do whatever you want with that array element. But even if you modify the array element, original array is not getting changed. So that is the point what you need to understand. Now let us learn about while loop. See, for loop is also entry control. While loop is also entry control, because first it will check the condition. If the condition is true, then only it will execute the body. So this is the so when the number of iterations is not fixed, then while loop is suggested. So in the case of an array, if you have to print the array elements, you know how many times you have to repeat that loop. For such situation, for loop is suggested, but you don't know how many times you have to repeat that loop. So in such situation, you can go for while loop. So in while loop, first you will check the condition. If the condition is true, then body will be executed. Make sure that, okay, in for loop, this updation, loop control variable updation was part of the syntax. But in while loop, it is not part of the syntax. So programmer has to take care to update it. So if I miss to give this I++, it will be an infinite loop. So make sure to update the this control variable. Do while loop. This is the only exit control loop. Rest all the loops were entry control loop. So irrespective of the loop condition, the loop body will be executed at least once. That is the speciality. First it will execute the loop body, then it will, so this is the exit point. So here it will check the condition. If condition false, it will be exiting. If condition is true, repeating. So execution of the body is guaranteed for once. Okay, whatever may be the condition result, body will be executed once. So you can have a look at this program. Do your loop body, then while, okay, condition. So if condition is true, again it will be repeated. So this condition is checked to repeat. But in the other case, condition is checked to execute once. So that is the difference. And here you have to make a note of this. Here semicolon is used to mark the end of while, do while. So this do while condition semicolon. That is the syntax. Now nested loops. A nested loop or an inner loop is nothing but the one that appears in the loop body of another outer loop. So nested loop is the one which is present inside the body of another loop. So the inner or the outer loop can be of any type, while, do while, whatever. See, there is no restriction like that for if the outer loop is while loop, you need to have out, nothing like that. You can mix between the while loop or do while loop. Logic is all about nesting one loop within another loop. That's all. See here one example. Outer loop is for loop, inner loop is also for loop. In this example, outer loop is for loop, inner loop is no, outer loop is while loop, inner loop is for loop. So that is all allowed. Okay, there is something called labeling. In C programming, you might have learned this labeled statement. A label is a name attached to a statement. Label name colon statement. So you are actually giving a name or a label to this particular statement. A goto statement in C++ programming provides an unconditional jump from the goto statement to the labeled statement in the same function. See, that is the case. This is your C program. Here you have goto label 1. Here I have attached a label to this particular print statement. So the moment I execute goto label 1, control will directly come to this label. So this is unconditionally branching. But in the case of Java, Java does not have goto statement, but Java supports label. For what purpose? Let us see that. The only place where label is useful in Java is right before the nested loop. So in the case of nested loop, there is an application for labels. You can attach a label name just before the beginning of a loop. So in Java, this labeling is used to attach names to loops. Label name can be used with break or continue statement for unconditional jump. Okay, these label names can be attached with the break or continue statement that we will learn now. Okay, with that we have completed the loop statements or iterations supported in Java. Now we will learn the jump statements. Loop control statements change the execution from its normal sequence that we have already told. When execution leaves a scope, all automatic objects that were created in that scope are destroyed. Okay, when control is moving from one block to another block, automatic variables, whatever you created within that block, will get destroyed. Okay, in jump statement, we will learn about break statement, continue statement, and return statement. Break statement terminates the loop or switch statement and transfers the execution to the statement immediately following the loop or switch. So it will come out of the loop or come out of the switch. That is the purpose of break statement. Break has two forms, labeled break and unlabeled break. Continue statement causes the loop to skip the remaining of its body and immediately repeat into the condition prior to reiterating. Means, okay, it is to skip the portions below the continue statement, and then the loop will continue with the next iteration. That is the continue statement. Even continue has two forms, label continue and unlabeled continue. Third jump statement is return statement. Let us learn break statement. See, break is to come out of the loop. So here while loop, if one particular condition is true, I am invoking break semicolon. So the means executing. Okay, the moment this statement gets executed, your control will come out of the loop where the break is present. So it will come out of this while loop. Even for do while loop, this is the behavior. Even for loop, the moment it executes the break, control will come out of that loop. Not from the condition, it will come out of the loop. Let us see the behavior in the case of nested loop. So here I am breaking from the inner loop. So control will come out of the inner loop, and it can, since there is nested loop, the outer loop will continue. So the outer loop will progress the execution with the next value. So that is the behavior in the case of nested loop. Now let us learn about the labeled break. Till now we discussed unlabeled normal break. Okay, now let us see the labeled break. According to the nested loop, if we put break statement in the inner loop, compiler will jump out from the inner loop and continue the outer loop again. But if you don't want to, if you have to come out of both loop, inner loop and outer loop, how to do that? For that actually you can use the labeling. So this is the behavior. See, you have outer loop, inner loop. I break from the inner loop, control will come out of the inner loop, and the execution of the outer loop will proceed with the next iteration. But my requirement is to come out of both loop. In that case, I have to use label. I can attach a label 1 to the outer loop, means I can give any name, any label name, colon, for loop. Okay, here also I am attaching one label name. So for the break or continue, I can give the label break. See, if the break 1 I used, it will break the loop which is labeled as 1. So it will come out of both loop. If I give label 2, break label 2 means this behavior only, it will come out of this loop. If I give break label 1, it will come out of both loop. So this is label break. Now continue. Continue is to skip the statements below this continue within a loop. Okay. So this is the case of while loop. In do while loop also, it will, after executing continue, the loop will skip the below statements and continue with the next iteration. It will go and check the condition, and it will check the next value. Even in the case of for, it will skip the below statements, it will update the value, then it will check the condition, it will proceed with the next loop. In the case of a nested loop, continue will cause you to skip the contents below the first loop, and it will go to the go to the inner loop and repeat the execution with the next value. Just imagine if your requirement is to skip the statements of outer loop also. In that case, you have to go for the labeled version. In the case of nested loop, the continue skips the current iteration of the innermost loop. To skip the current iteration of the outer loop, label continue can be used. So this is the labeled version. So if I use continue label 1 means it will skip the execution of both loops. It will continue with the outer loop. If you don't use the label, it will skip the statements below the innermost loop and it will repeat the innermost loop. So that is the behavior of label break and label continue. The last gem statement what we need to learn in this part is return statement. The return statement exits from the current method and control flow returns to where the method was invoked. So the control will return to the place where the method was invoked. The return statement has two forms, one that returns a value and the one that does not. To return a value, simply put the value or an expression that calculate the value after the keyword return. Okay, return plus count. So this will be evaluated and this value will be returned. The data type of the returned value must match the type of the method's declared return type. Okay, the type should match with the return type of your function. When a method is declared void, that means that method is not going to return any value. Use the form of return that does not return any value. So you can just use return semicolon because you have declared the function as void. Okay, here let us see one example. You have a method addition and the return type is int. So here this function is returning one integer value, that is nothing but the sum. So after the completion of this statement, see when I execute this return statement, control is branching to the original location where the function is called. So the sum value, return value will be stored to answer and control will proceed. Okay, that's all about the control statements in Java. Thank you for watching.